name is T. Levon Lawrence, and I'd like to welcome you to the second half of Part 3 in the Informational Brain Training video series, Mental Concentration versus Mental Focus. In this second half of Part 3, I'll continue discussing the modalities of attention, the characteristics of attention, and how attention control training is used to build mental concentration, and how you can tailor your brain training to get the best results faster. Now that we've reviewed the multimodal characteristic of attention, the next characteristic you should know about is that it is malleable, that is, flexible. It can be consciously resized and reshaped to suit your needs. Note that our guy here with no clothes on is willfully expanding his attention bubble, and that the more he expands his spotlight of attention, the more he consciously perceives. Remember, even though he's expanding his bubble, it still requires a narrow bandwidth of willful control to keep it from dispersing into distraction. It's like that illustration of the spotlight operator. You can widen your beam and move it about, but you've got to keep your hand on the control to get it done. Otherwise, the light just swings all over the place. The next characteristic of attention you should know about is that it is movable. You can intentionally direct your attention anywhere you want it to go, just as you can resize it because it's malleable. Notice how our smart naked guy here is able to narrow his attention down to the size of the book he's reading while he's hanging out in the field. Then he's able to take his attention and move it up to the birds that are flying by. The birds are pretty far away, so he's able to narrow his attention even more. Then he notices how nice the tree is. The tree is rather large, so he has to increase the size of his bubble, and it is directed outward. Next, he's able to shift his attention back to himself to notice his body. Then he's able to internally direct his attention, move it, so that he's able to notice his thoughts and feelings. And then he can turn his attention right back to the book. Very important for you to understand is that attention is maintainable. That means not only can you resize it, not only can you put it on target, but you can train yourself to hold it there. Yes, you have the natural ability to hold attention on target for ever-extending periods of time, even if you've been diagnosed with ADHD or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. If you or somebody you know has been assessed as having that kind of attention deficit, attention control training should be at the top of your list for symptoms management. Note that our naked thinking guy here is willing his attention to stay on target. Notice also that he can hold his attention broadly to monitor his physical body, a vital skill if you want to learn to reduce stress in your life. And see how he turns his attention to monitoring his own thoughts, using his creative operational mode of attention to willfully construct ideas in his creative imagination. I think maybe he's trying to figure out where he left his underwear. Finally, a vital characteristic of attention is that it is monitorable. Thank goodness it is. It's not an easy skill to become great at, but the fact is you do have the ability to pay attention to what you do habitually with your attention. It's really the only way to know how to adjust your training to get the fastest results. When you start your attention control training, it is super important that you learn to pay attention to yourself by always having two questions in your training arsenal. What am I doing with my attention right now? And what could I be doing with it if I really wanted to? So, let's talk about some helpful points in regard to the characteristics of attention as they relate to attention control training for improved mental concentration. The more singular the attention control, the more powerful the concentration. Multitasking is a joke, guys. People who brag to me about their multitasking skills bring a smile to my face because I know they don't have a clue about the actual nature of attention. Keep in mind that concentration is not attention, but the command of attention. Concentration is a right here, right now activity. There's no daydreaming or fantasizing because you have to continually keep bringing your attention back to now by disconnecting it from mindless thought. Concentration concerns itself only with the current task at hand. Nothing else matters. But because true mental concentration is conscious, you're always aware of changing circumstances and situations, so you can easily disengage from the current task in order to deal with real necessities. Concentration rejects all internal and external sources of distraction. That means your own chaotic, mechanical internal chatter and the undisciplined, chattering theater of nonsense around you. Mental concentration accesses other mental functions to control them: working memory, emotions, visualization, etc. Among its many benefits, mental concentration significantly boosts creative imagination, strategic thinking, fluid intelligence, and practical intelligence. It also helps working memory for all 5 sensory modes of attention: visual, auditory, kinesthetic, olfactory, and gustatory. And finally, the more you practice mental concentration on a daily basis, the better you become at it in multiple directions simultaneously. As you begin your mental concentration training, remember, train using all 5 senses. Train for basic thought control. Consider training for deeper intuitive skills. You definitely want to shoot for anytime, anywhere attention control. You want to go for unlimited endurance. Make sure you master multiple target types. Learn to sweep aside all forms of mental resistance, and be creative in using every daily activity to increase your mental concentration skills. After all, don't you want to be like this naked guy here? Of course you do. Next, in part 4 of 7 in this series on mental concentration versus mental focus, we're going to talk about mental focus itself. Hey, you can't master a thing unless you learn all you can about it. So, be sure to check out part 4. You can get yourself some priceless mental training advice and guidance by tuning in to our Blog Talk radio shows, the Mental Power Hour and Brain Training Minute. The Mental Power Hour is 60 to 90 minutes of awesome training advice, while your Brain Training Minute is a few minutes of insightful brain training knowledge and techniques that can make a major difference in your life. These are training shows, not time-wasting talk radio. You'll find hours, and I mean hours, of awesome material on everything from training your attention, thoughts, mental concentration, mental focus, impulse control, willpower, goal setting, goal achieving, defeating procrastination, mindfulness, to subconscious reprogramming. Feel free to tune in during any of the live broadcasts we announce and call in to discuss mental training topics. We'll see you on the next video in this series.